Friedrich Nietzsche once wrote, "Without music, life would be a mistake." I think I'd say the same thing about worship too. Without music, worship would be a mistake. One of our Unitarian Universalist principles tells us that there are many ways to access the sacred, the holy, the sublime, the transcendent. Music is one of those vehicles. Music transports and transforms us. On most Sundays, music plays a supporting role in our worship. But here, twice a year, we worship through music. The music itself is our worship. Music is the thing that connects us with the deepest parts of ourselves and with that which is beyond us. In this, our autumn special music service this year, the choir and horn quartet are exploring rituals of the season. Homecoming, the Day of the Dead, the harvest, and Thanksgiving will all be considered in turn for their place in this season of transition. We will look to these rituals to offer opportunities for reflection and renewal. We welcome the gift that our chorus and our horn players offer us today, and we accept it in the spirit of worship. To maintain that spirit, we ask that you all hold all your applause until the end of our service. And now, a poem by Thomas Hardy. At day close in November. The 10 hours light is abating, and a late bird flies across where the pines, like waltzers waiting, give their black heads a toss. Beech leaves that yellow the noontime float past like specks in the eye. I set every tree in my June time, and now they obscure the sky. And the children who ramble through here conceive that there never has been a time when no tall trees grew here, a time when none will be seen. Who would have imagined that we would have 4 fine French horn players in this congregation? That was wonderful. Our next reading is taken from a book of pagan prayers. It happened this way. When the time was right, when the season had come, he came to the deadly place and was sacrificed. Knowingly he came, willingly he came, in honor and sorrow he came to do what had to be done. His death made life possible. From it sprang the food we eat. Grain grew where his blood flowed. Animals walked forth from the shade of his fallen body. Like an ash felled by an axe, his body lay, and with its rotting nourished the ground. This is the way it happened, and the way it happens today. For each moment dies and nourishes the next as it is birthed by the goddess. Each year dies and nourishes the next as it is birthed by the goddess. Each life ends and nourishes the next as it is birthed by the goddess. You who die and are reborn in this season of death, we remember your deeds. You who die and are reborn in this season of life, we remember your sacrifice. You who die and are reborn in this season of life and death, we remember what happened, and we praise you in our living, and we praise you in our dying.
In our musical journey this morning, we celebrated autumn through exploration of the various rituals of this season of transition. At the opening of the service, we sang of a return to home and hearth from summer travels, a practice suggestive of the ingathering service we hold each September here at UUCDC. Next, we reflected on the blue heavens and golden sun so reminiscent of springtime past, and sought to bask in the warmth of those beautiful memories to sustain us through the coming winter. Whether called Day of the Dead, All Souls Day, or the Yizkor service on Yom Kippur, souls of the righteous spoke to the tradition of cultures the world around, recalling and honoring those who have gone before us. As fall is the season of harvest in the eyes of all and the subsequent Jaeger Corps, we acknowledge the bounty of the field and forest, of which we are the grateful beneficiaries. The aforementioned themes of transition, remembrance, and thanksgiving, combined with those of sacrifice and ultimate rebirth, as we trace the life cycle of the gift of grain in John Barleycorn, from its growth to its sacrifice of the harvest and to the eventual regeneration in spring. We realize that whether we're speaking of autumn of the year or the autumn of life, we're not speaking of an end point, but merely a stage in the eternal cycle of life. Mendelssohn's Herbstlied reinforced this point, as it has us looking ahead to spring this time, not back as we were at the beginning of the service. And we profess assurance that every year, just as every year brings us new leaves, it also brings us new hope. We will conclude with Autumn Hymn, a UU hymn of praise to the Creator for the glories of autumn, the beauties of the changing year, and for the joy known through all the seasons in hearts attuned to the great spirit of life.